Okay, so hopefully we are live. Let's wait a moment or two for YouTube to catch up, and then we can just upload the link on the Discord as well, so some people might be able to join. Okay, so we are live on YouTube. We have this also ready. Okay, so now we can kind of get the good stuff right. So I think, let me just check how far we've come with the blocks from the last episode. So let me open file, have our projects folder, Ascension, and here we have our grass block that we have created on Monday. And I have just added a little bit of texture on the bottom if we use it for something like a ceiling or anything, so if the player looks up they will also see some texture as well. And I think we're just missing a little bit of this color here, so let me just add a couple of dots here and there just so we get all the colors. Oh, so we already have them. Okay, my bad. Maybe we can add this one just for the sake of it. And as you might be able to guess, I'm gonna basically just remove this top part with the grass, and then we'll replace it with some more of this stony dirt texture. So we have our dirt block, and then we can move on to the stone block. So let me just save this. And now I think the easiest way would be, let me just drag this window over to the shared screen. So as you can see here, I guess can I zoom in? Okay, here we have our grass block folder, and then we can just duplicate it and name it dirt. So we basically have two identical models. Let me get rid of that now. And I guess we can open that file. So we go to the dirt folder, and now it's just gonna look the same as before. But now let's get rid of this top part. So we need to cover all of this. And since I have been using mirrors on Monday, we know that this side is symmetric to this one, so we can do it again. So let's turn this mirror on, and then we can just cover this part. Maybe we can leave a little bit of it, like as part of the texture. And then let's switch on to the X mirror, and then let's get rid of this also. So something like this. And then the easiest thing that we have to do, well, the first thing that we can do is actually just basically mirroring this bottom side to the top. So now we need to turn on the Y mirror, and then we're just gonna be picking some colors and just filling them in. So let me try to, oh no, let me try to get them all so we have them on top as well. I think that should be all for this shade. Let me move on to the next one. Okay, so we got these two. Then we have the third brown, so we have a little bit less of these darker ones. And now let's move on to the grays. And then we need just the bright gray, and then that's more or less it, right? So let me cover these as well. Okay. So we kind of got the similar texture here at the top, and maybe we can try to correct it a little bit. This one is missing. Also here might be something that I forgot to, let me see. I guess this is just some empty space. Let me just use this tool so we can kind of see what it all looks together. And I guess it doesn't look too bad. Maybe we can add again some stuff near the edges, so that might help a bit. But again, we can also do it from the side, and then we'll see how that works out. So maybe we can get rid of the Y mirror, and then let's see which side is this. So we need to mirror across the Z axis. And now we can just start by making a couple of these gray shapes that are kind of our pebbles or some stones in the dirt. And also you can kind of see if we do it here at the edge, it gets mirrored, and I don't think that we want to do exactly that, but we'll try to do something after we turn the mirrors off. So can have something like that. Let's use a couple of these darker grays. Let's see, where can we squeeze them in? So a couple here, maybe. Okay, so these two are kind of, yeah, let me put it there just so we don't have two similar colors in the corners. And then let me add some of this. And then we can also do some of the fourth brown color for some more texture. And I think we have some space left here as well. So maybe we can try to do something like that. And then we just pick this color, which is pretty similar to the base. And then we just kind of try to complete some of these shapes, or just add some different colors to the mix. And now maybe we can do something like this here. And I'm just trying to figure out if it's kind of balanced, or maybe we can add some bright. Yeah, I think here would be pretty decent. So that's gonna be kind of it for these two sides. And then we can move on to the second pair of sides. So let's start again with some. And again, we don't want to make these stones too big, because then we can kind of orientate or orient. I'm not sure which is the exact one. So if we turn this on, you can clearly see, especially now that we don't have any other noise, like where the blocks are placed. So we want to just keep them kind of small and kind of similar looking. So maybe this one can be an L. Here can be like a little diagonal. Let me see. Maybe we can make this an L as well. Something like this. Then maybe one there. Then let's not make too many gray voxels. Now we can just kind of add to these shapes with this darker gray, just some depth maybe, or some different stones, like some are a little bit more worn out or something like that. So some more of these, and now we're just trying to add some more of these dark browns, which are actually different than the. Okay, so we never combine these dark browns with anything else. We just combine these that are kind of similar to the base with the brighter shades. So let me grab this one, and then we can maybe add a couple more here and there. Maybe just some dots, maybe, so we don't only use lines. Then something here. Okay, So I think I'm pretty happy with how these two sides look, but now when you check the top and the bottom, it kind of looks like there's way less texture than on these two sides. So maybe let's try to fix that a little bit as well. So we can be a little bit more active with some of these. Okay, and here again, yeah, we're gonna have to do these edge details later without the mirrors, because whenever we try to do something like that, it just kind of messes stuff up. Because I mean, if we do here too and it gets mirrored, then we're gonna end up with the square. Let me just try to, yeah, here you can kind of see that square. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's also not great. So there's that. Okay, so I think we have about enough of these bright grays, just so we don't have like too many stones. I think we can just make some more texture using these dirt colors as well. So, and now I'm kind of extending these bases, so we kind of get the rough ideas where some of the stuff is gonna be, and then we're just gonna add these brighter brown shades just to add some more variety to them. So let me see where can we squeeze some more stuff. So here's something, maybe a little dot there, maybe a little dot here, then maybe something on this side as well. And here we can kind of leave that to be as it is, and just for the sake of it, maybe we can do it somewhere else like that. So we kind of get some connection in the texture between the blocks. So when we stack them one on top of another, the texture kind of wraps around. And now for this brightest shade, let's just add some of these colors to the, I guess we could call these like Zs or something. It kind of reminds me of a letter Z or Z. So nope. Okay, here, then maybe two there, maybe something a little bit there, then okay, now I think it looks a little bit better. So when we kind of roll it around, it kind of looks like we have about the same amount of noise on all three sides. Maybe we can just add a couple more of these dark browns, because it is used quite often on the other two sides, but we don't really use it much here. So maybe let's put one here, one there, and then maybe one in this corner as well, just so we have some of it. And now we can turn off the mirrors and maybe just add a couple of these details onto the edges now that they aren't being mirrored. And here we can kind of see, maybe from this side it kind of looks good, but when we turn it around here, it's maybe a little bit too close. So maybe let's move it down a voxel or two. So here is something kind of similar. And maybe let's move this one a little bit up, just so we don't have everything in the same line. So that's for the grays. Maybe some other colors can be placed as well. Let's also try to find some edges that we haven't added anything to them yet, just so we don't focus too much on just one side or one edge and then leave the rest like they aren't important anything. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just gonna place a couple more voxels, and then I think we can go ahead and test it in the game maker. So I kind of want to test all these blocks in the game maker, because only when you see like a large area of them, you can get a feeling if some textures might be like too obvious or really sticking out when repeating. So yeah, that's why we're gonna do that. And okay, yeah, again, I'm kind of bothered that we don't have these nice lines in the block edit tool, because it would kind of help a lot if I could see a little bit better where the edge between these two sides was. So let me just save that. We can export to the marketplace. Here's our preview. Okay, so let's see, it's gonna be a new asset. It's gonna be for the dirt block, and we don't really need any kind of description or anything like that. And I think let's just select none, and I think that should be it. So now let's go to the Sandbox maker to try it out. And while that is loading, I guess we can go ahead and okay, let's log in. Now we can, I guess, quit the Vox edit, or at least this view, and we can already go ahead and try to create a new asset. So we're gonna create a folder. This is gonna be called stone. Let's go into the folder. Oh, and we didn't name it, but whatever. Let me just, let's try that. Let's load a palette. So Vox edit palettes, extended palette. Okay, so this one is good because we have a lot of grays. We're gonna need it for the stone texture. And now that we have this loaded up, we can open our test map. Where we have already placed, yeah, okay, we have already like compared our blocks that we have made. So these are ours to the default sandbox. And then I guess we can do something similar. If we search for the dirt. Okay, so here's our dirt block. And here's some of the presets, so we can kind of compare them as well. So here's our spawn. Let me see. So there's our dirt, and there's the default. So there's 1 and there's 2. Let me just, I guess we can join them together so they're kind of touching. Oh, okay, wrong keys. Okay, so you can see we have a little bit different texture. Let's see if there's like anything really specific to it. Which I don't think it's like really problematic. But now we can also try like the combination of these two. So basically maybe we can make like a little hill from dirt and then cover it up with some grass, just to kind of get the overall feeling of it. So maybe that's our base. And now let's just extend it a little bit. So I guess it should be visible from the side, so something like this. Yeah, I guess something like this would kind of work. The only problem is that we have made it kind of on the side that is away from the light source, so we can't really see much from this side because it's in the shadow. But I guess if we look at it from here, I think it looks just fine. Maybe we could go ahead and tinker a bit with it, but I don't really feel like it's necessary. It's just a simple modification of the grass block. And I guess you can, if you try really hard, you can kind of see some patterns repeating, but I don't think it's too problematic. Also, some areas appear a little bit empty, but when you zoom in, you can kind of see like there are some voxels that look really similar to the base, so that's like a little trade-off that we kind of had to make. So I think we are kind of done with this dirt block, so we can... Okay, so yeah, I have forgotten a little bit what we were doing before. So yeah, now that we have the block that wasn't named properly, also this one is still named block grass, so let's rename this into block dirt, just so we are kind of consistent with our names, even though these are just files. So here's the dirt, and then for the stone, now it's named Untitled, so I think we used block and then what it was, so oh no. And this one is gonna be called blockstone.png. Okay, so let me just check again, block grass, okay. So we have sticked to our naming conventions, and now let's see if we can actually open this block or if VoxEdit is gonna crash. So place your bets. Okay, it has crashed. I guess we can close this too for now. Okay, so maybe let's see if it's gonna crash again. Maybe we can do like a quick tutorial how to fix that. So when we click on the block editor here, it will most likely crash. Let's see. Okay, it hasn't. So apparently there have been some bug fixes from some time before, which is actually good news. So let's try to reload this block again. Okay, so there we have it. It's our blockstone.vxb. And now actually the difficult part here is actually kind of trying to figure out which the base gray should be. I mean, should it be this or that? So from that point of view, it might be actually a little tricky, but I guess we can go with something like this. Is this too bright? I mean, how about this one? So I guess if we say like this is the brightest one, even though it isn't, and this is the darkest one, so let's see, 4, 6 to 4, 6. Yeah, I guess here is somewhere in the middle, so let's go with that one, and we'll see how that goes. So for the stone texture, let me just bring up some reference images. So one of them is just like this simple Minecraft stone texture. Also there is a cobblestone texture. Let me open that. So there is another option, so these two look kind of similar. And we're not going for the bricks because we're gonna make some stone bricks a little bit later. So I guess we're just going for something like this, and it uses like how many? This is the brightest one. 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 grays. And this one might be even darker. So what we're gonna try to do is kind of start making details with, let's see. So I guess we can go with this gray that is one shade, well, this one is 2 shades darker actually, and then later on we can move on to this one that is kind of in between, and then just smooth it out a little bit and stuff like that. And also what I have been thinking about is if we can make some highlights with the brighter one, but this one really isn't good for the cracks or anything like that, so we'll see how we use that color. So let's move back to this one, and then I guess we're gonna use the mirroring just so we can kind of speed the process a little bit, because if we don't have to do each side manually, then we can, well, we only use half of the time if we mirror across. So let's just try to kind of draw some cracks or something like that, and we'll see where we go from there. So there's something like that. Let's, these two are actually quite large, so let's try to keep them smaller, because as I have mentioned before, if we make like too big of these cracks or something like that, the user might be able to kind of orient where the pattern is beginning or ending. So we kind of don't want that. I mean, it's not like we we don't want to help the players, but it just doesn't look natural when you look at the texture like that. So maybe let's get rid of these two at the top, and we're just kind of gonna go ahead with these smaller ones. So maybe here it can be a little bit bigger, maybe something like that. Okay, then maybe we can go ahead and make just some L shapes here and there. No. And I tend to forget that sometimes I'm using the rectangle tool or the box tool, and sometimes I'm using the line tool, so those two don't do the same result when you try to do the diagonal lines. So in that case, and as you can see here, I tried to do like a little overlap, and I think we can do it at some more places, just to kind of make the whole texture kind of more blend in. So let's see here, and then maybe one, this one isn't properly, okay, so maybe we get a little Z. So when we try to kind of align this, okay, here you can kind of see how it wraps up. But then again, you can kind of see that there's some empty space maybe here that we can fix, and maybe something here as well. So maybe let's try to, maybe two of them here and then just one cross, something like that, and then we can also do some anti-aliasing with the rest. And now we are kind of left with another interesting choice, like do we wanna get into the details already, or do we wanna do like this with this shade for all three sides? So maybe we can try to do that first. So maybe a little bit here. Maybe we can continue this texture a little bit. Okay, so we are mirroring, that's good. Now we can kind of try to do some similar looking cracks on the other side, like this. And I'm thinking if we should do like a darker voxel above it. I guess we can try it and we'll see where that leads us. So we got a couple here, maybe a little L shape there, and then, oh. Yeah, sometimes we can do a little bit too much. Something like this, maybe a little dot there. And then we need to just do a couple more here at the top. So we have something like that. And then we can also try to do some similar stuff that we have done on this side, so we can kind of try to mirror it across. So this would come down to here, maybe something like that. Then we can also try to do something similar on this side. So maybe something like that as well. And maybe just a dot or two in this kind of empty space. Something like that. And I think we are using a little bit less. I mean, if you compare these two, this one appears a lot more, well, a lot, like a bit more darker. So maybe we can extend some of these details a little bit or make them a little bit thicker, just so we kind of keep the balance between the sides. So it's not like one side has like a bunch of cracks and everything and the other one is just clean. Because I mean, for a regular asset that might not actually be that problematic because you can rotate it, but in the case of a block it's just gonna be placed there, you can't really do much with it. So in that case I guess it can be good to think about it a little bit in that way as well. So now I think we went a little bit overboard. So let me get rid of some of the like less necessary details. I think this is kind of good. What we got now. And then I guess we can just do it for the top as well. And here again, do we wanna mirror it? Because if you look closely, this pattern isn't the same at the bottom because we have a little bit different shapes on the bottom of these than we have on the top. So I don't know, maybe we can kind of mirror the middle and then we can just model the outsides, or color them a little bit differently. So yeah, let's select the correct color and let's get to work. And also, yeah, okay, two things that I have forgotten. First is the mirroring, and the second one is that we are actually working on this middle section, not the outer side. Oops. Thing like this. And now these cracks, I mean, I wasn't really going for any specific direction here, but these at the top are gonna be like mostly visible by the player when they move across these types of block. And so this side is kind of the most important one because, well, is it really the most important one? Perhaps the sides are also important, because if you're making like a cave or something like that, in that case you're gonna mostly see the sides, right? So a little bit here, a little bit there, and now these shapes are getting quite dense here on this side, so let's move perhaps a little bit towards the other. Something like that. And a lot of like depth and everything will be added when we start shading these cracks. So something like that. Okay, a little bit more. I don't know, do we wanna try to squeeze some stuff here in the corners? I think this is fine, and then we'll figure out the rest a little bit later. Or since we already have the mirrors, I guess we can try to do some AA already. So now one option would be to just kind of cover these cracks. One other option would be to kind of make a little outline, or just kind of a similar direction. And I think I kind of want to go with these a bit thicker shapes, just so we have like more of these different colors and like depths than just having one and then a couple of details on it. So let's see. Here, maybe something like that. Just trying to kind of figure out where it would make sense, and also kind of trying to figure out what the end product is gonna look like, or how we can kind of try to make it look as good as possible. Maybe there's a little bit of that there. So we kind of got the rough directions where some of these cracks should be going. And I'm just kind of trying to add the second color that would kind of complement, or like it would help the that direction. And this is like too thick, definitely too thick here. So what can we do here? Maybe something like that. No. I'm just trying to not spend too much time on like deciding where to place one simple voxel. So yeah, and you can see we have some of these like more extended shapes and some are like more crunched together. Maybe this one is more circular or like almost a rectangle. Well, this one is also a rectangle, but this one is way like narrower and taller, and this one is, yeah, a little bit thicker. So yeah, let's undo that, because we aren't gonna mess with the sides just yet on this top part. But I guess on some places these voxels can like touch and make some patterns and shapes. Something like that maybe. So now basically we have this darker color, which is like deeper part of the crack, and then we have the brighter shade color that is like the base crack or something like that. So let's just make some more cracks in the stone, and then maybe we can also add some more details with the highlights. So let's see, maybe. And I don't want to make them like perfect. It's completely fine if we leave a couple of voxels like not colored in, but again we kind of need to figure out a good balance so it doesn't look too unnatural. So now we're basically making it more similar to the Sandbox dirt template than what we were making, but I think it has potential to look pretty good. At least I hope so. Let's get rid of that. We can move on to that a little bit later. And also we kind of want to go for a little bit, well, now that I'm mentioning it, I actually noticed that these aren't all like two square or two rectangular shapes. Like we have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, so yeah. That didn't apply in our case. Like we're making square stones or something like that. So I think we're nearing the point where I'm kind of satisfied with what we've got going on here on the top. For now, with these two shades of gray, and I guess we can kind of move on to the one of the sides. So maybe let's move on to the blue mirror. So we're actually working on this one, and now we're just kind of trying to extend these outwards again to kind of get some initial shapes that we're gonna go ahead and connect a little bit later, just as we did on the top part. So yeah, I guess we can go with that. Okay. Let's see, how do we want to incorporate this L shape into our design? Maybe something like that. And sometimes it kind of helps with smoothing if you make like this transition with the Z or like an L and then continue it outwards. So let's see. And now again, these look a little bit more organized than what's going on there. So I'm kind of hoping to add a little bit more randomness to them as we go on. So something like that, maybe. Or actually, we could use a little bit different texture for like the floor, and the sides can look a little bit different, I guess. And there's nothing particularly wrong with that, so we'll see what we end up getting, and we'll work from there. So let's see. And also here we're again kind of looping the texture, so can, I don't know, maybe do that, and then it's gonna kind of connect to it on the other side. And also we aren't really using like some thicker lines, or like just making it too thick, maybe some other voxels. When I look here at the top, I'm just kind of trying to compare a little bit, so the texture doesn't look like it was made by two different people or something like that. That's definitely not what we're going for here, but since we need to do at least 3 different sides, so just so it doesn't look too symmetric, I guess we are kind of stuck with this rock and a heart place. And I guess what I'm going for more here is like larger stones, I think, when we compare them to those here. So I'm just gonna try to break them up a little bit, so something like that. Let's see. So in the end, the goal is kind of to make everything like just look kind of random and stuff, so you don't really need to pause and compare, like, is this block really similar to, or is this stone like too similar to some other stone on this block. And let's see, got that. And maybe we can break this one apart a little bit. Like so, maybe. And I kind of like this texture a little bit more than the one on the top, because this one looks a little bit too random to me. This one at least has some order to it, and that's like the beauty of this creative process, where you just kind of learn as you go along. And I guess we can go ahead and do some modifications to the top side, now that we have noticed kind of like which style we prefer. And also what we're gonna try to do is kind of at least, because these textures are kind of random, I think it wouldn't be too problematic if they don't loop perfectly in the corners, but we can try to keep that as well. And now here, I guess we can try to figure out like some parts that can be like extended a little bit, just so we can, oh, and we're mirroring this. Let me undo that. So I think it would actually be better if you just continue with this onto this side, and then we'll try to figure out what to do with this top part. So now we need to go to the X mirroring, and let's pick our color. And now we can also kind of continue these sidelines that we have already drawn, because it's kind of the same voxel, just to different sides of it. And we can just continue that into our pattern, just to make it well, that's like the part that I have mentioned before, where you try to make the textures loop around the corners, just so it kind of looks nice when we put these blocks one next to the other. So, and now again, now I'm thinking more about these straight lines, and I'm doing some third texture again. So it's really, at least for me, it's kind of difficult to stay consistent with this texturing. If we weren't working in the block editor, I would probably just make one side and then kind of duplicate it to all 6 sides of the cube, but unfortunately that is not an option here. So we're just gonna have to go ahead and figure out something else. Something like that. Okay, so here we don't really have anything special going on. Maybe we can do something like that. And then let's see here. Okay. So here we have this square, cross So let's maybe try to make it a little bit less apparent. Well, that doesn't help at all. So maybe something like that. Maybe let's add another voxel there. Okay. Let's see, where are we missing some textures. Maybe we can join it in here. Then also this part maybe. Let me try to figure this out. What we're gonna do here. Yeah, that looks way too square. Maybe something like that. And then... These are actually quite challenging to kind of try to figure out what to do with them. So let's do something like this. And then we're gonna go ahead and kind of compare them with the other side and hope they kind of look like they're a part of the same stone. Because otherwise, well, we're gonna have a little problem, right? So we'll see how. Well, we'll first see if it needs any fixing, and if it does, we'll need to figure it out. Let's see, where does this come vertically? Okay. Maybe we can break this one apart. Maybe some stuff here. Okay, so this looks kind of fine. It kind of reminds me of that maze that has like a bunch of dead ends, and you can kind of move like here and then down here. And then, yeah. Oh no, we have drawn a little line that we don't want to, or that I didn't intend to. Let me just say that. So, yeah, I guess they kind of look the same. You can just see that this one has a bit thicker lines. Well, I was adding them, like I was thickening them before, so I guess we can do something a little similar here on this side as well, just to make some lines a little bit thicker and whatnot, so they're like larger cracks or shadows or something like that. So let's try to figure out where we can place those. And it's mostly like here in the corners that two are diagonally connected, like just through a corner. Here it kind of looks thin, so if we add another voxel, so we have like them connected through the sides, it already adds like some thickness. I couldn't quite quantify how much thickness it actually adds, but it does. So we have made this part a little bit darker already, and then maybe we can do something a little similar here as well, and we can also kind of suggest some of these stone shapes from our darker lines. So let's see. Okay, we kind of haven't done much, so maybe we can add some more stuff here on this side. Maybe something like this, something like that. Maybe let's do something like this as well. So this now looks pretty decent. Maybe we can do something with this part here. So either we could extend this downwards or move this upwards, something like this. And now here on the top, guess we can go for something like that. Okay. So I think this looks pretty decent for the sides, and now that we have this side, we can kind of iterate across the other one, which has like some larger gaps. Let me see. Well, they actually aren't that much larger. It's just that we weren't as intensive with this thickening, if we call it that way. So let me just add some more of this gray to the other side. Maybe towards the top, yeah. So something like this gap was like apparent, and maybe here as well. So let's just do it like this. And then here on the side, let's do that, let's do that. This we can connect also. And this part is a little bit too thick, if you ask me, so let me just get rid of some of these details. Or maybe just rearrange them. So there we have that. And I'm just kind of worrying how it's gonna look when we put them side by side. I guess we can also check it out already. So this doesn't look too shabby, but what we could have gone for actually would be to go one shade darker even, and then make just some anti-aliasing stuff with this slightly darker color. And since it's quite a messy thing, this is gonna take a moment or two just for me to recolor all of the parts. So let me swap onto the other mirror, and let's try to get them all here as well. So these are like the deepest cracks that we have in our stone. Oh, and yeah, well, that sucks. Apparently mirroring doesn't work here, so I guess we're just gonna have to manually recolor them all. Ugh, that's a little bit tedious. It kind of shows that the the block editor isn't getting much love from the devs. So okay, so we have both sides. Not both, all of the sides colored, and now we need to change this shade into a darker one. And I have kind of thought of a little trick that we could have used, but since we're already kind of halfway, I guess we're just gonna go with it till the end. And one option would also be to just kind of fill in these larger shapes, and the smaller ones can be like drawn in or something like that. Like these separate voxels here and there, but okay. Well, actually, if we were using the line tool, we could have mirrored it, so yeah. There's really like no best way. There are just like bad and worse way of doing this. So that's kind of why I was trying to be careful with the colors we were starting with, and it still didn't work out. So yeah, stuff happens. Just a little bit more. We're almost halfway with this, because we're probably gonna have to redo the top and the bottom side. So let's first get these sides so we like them, and then later on we can figure out what exactly we want to do with this top and bottom side, or we might just be satisfied with what they look like, and that would be actually ideal. Just a little bit more. Okay, we have one whole side more. Getting there, just a little bit. Wait. Okay, so we... Ugh. Okay. So there's that. Okay, so... Okay, that's it. Nope, there's one voxel left. And now I think we can use the... we can just try to make some highlights and some shadows as well. So that's gonna be our next thingy. And now we can, of course, turn on the mirroring back on again. And maybe before we do that, let me just take a little sip of my drink. Okay, so I can keep talking for some more time. Wait a second. Okay, so this is gonna be our kind of a shadow color, just to kind of smooth out all of these transitions. Of course, we're gonna do it like more towards this bottom side, so we can kind of suggest some like 3D-ness of the rocks, if that's a word. And since we have gone with this like spray and pray technique, it's gonna also look like pretty randomized, at least I think so. So okay, maybe a little bit more here, a little bit more here. And then maybe on the bottom side as well, a couple of these lines, maybe here. And it's also kind of nice if we do them so they kind of connect these two together, or these two together. I think that that's a lot better than if we were just to end it right here, because then we have like this weird crossroads of all colors and shapes and stuff. So if we do it like this, I think it looks better, at least in my opinion. No. We need to undo once more. Well, we did, so that's good. And maybe here we can do some shape like that. And now we're kind of getting to this, it kind of looks like some, it actually looks more of a like a cobblestone texture. But hey, that's probably fine as well. So now we're just kind of getting rid of these gaps, so, or like the gaps between the stones are kind of like this shade that's kind of closest to the base, so we don't make them like too separate. We can do it like here. So I guess this is kind of fine for this side, and now we can move on to the other one. So let's swap our mirror and let's get going. So we're trying to mostly color the bottom half of the stone, and also we're trying to kind of correct some of these weird shapes or something like that. Here we can just fill this in, and at least in my eyes it doesn't stand out as much, so hopefully that helps you out as well. Now here maybe we can just split this rock in two. So this is basically like playing a little bit with some pixel art or something like that, because we aren't really modeling anything. We're just trying to find some nice texture, and also hopefully if these blocks turns out to be like nice looking, we can reuse it in multiple experiences, so hopefully our work will be rewarded, because it can be actually really tedious if I would have to do like a bunch of them for different games. Maybe we can get rid of that one just so we have like so we don't have like that weird zigzaggy texture. Let's see some more here. A little bit more here. Okay, let's fill that in. Let's maybe fill this in. Let's connect these two. And now I'm just gonna go and look on the other side. So kind of how these two compare. So we still have like quite some gaps in between the stones that haven't been connected. Like here and here maybe. So that's kind of like the biggest thing that differentiates it from the other texture on this side. But we're getting close now, and not all of them need to be perfect. Maybe we can just fill this in a little bit, and then yeah, I guess this looks kind of uniform. Maybe let's just make this like this stone looks really long when you look at it here from the angle. So maybe we can just kind of cut it off like that. And now if we turn on the ghost, I think this looks pretty decent. And the last final touch, like for the sides, would be to add the color over this gray that's one shade brighter, just to add some highlights. And we actually don't really want to go too much overboard, at least I don't think so. Like we need a bunch of them, just like every stone can get like maybe 1 or 2 voxels, just so we can kind of show where the light is hitting them, or like which side is the top. And it also kind of helps like with some angles, so like they are not flat, they're kind of angled at some angles, of course. Angled stuff is angled at angles. Oh my god, that's I don't make any well, in my opinion it does make sense, it just sounds weird because you say angle so many times. So let's see. With these shapes I always have like a little bit of dilemma of how to do it. Maybe one option would be this. It definitely looks weird if you just put it here. I think this looks best. Then here we need that shape. And then for this part I don't really think we need that much bright stuff there. So we got that. Let's see, maybe one more here. Maybe something here. And also here's another problem, like if we don't do it all the way, so if we don't do it here as well, it's gonna look weird again. So maybe let's do a highlight for that, and then maybe let's connect it with something like this. And then also let's try to do some stuff on these bottom parts, and also here maybe. It kind of looks like it's missing this middle gray as well. Then maybe we can do one highlight here and then one highlight there. Something like that. And then of course we need to move on to the other side. Yay! So again, just kind of trying to figure out where the light is gonna hit these blocks. Something like that. Now on these we don't really need to put them because they're or I mean, we basically see just the bottom side of those blocks. And let's see, maybe one here, here, just a little bit here and there. And then also, as we can see here towards the bottom, we don't really have much of this brightest gray. So let me just put some of it down on a couple of tiles, just so we have like this. Well, so we have all of the shades like everywhere, so it kind of looks homogeneous and not like someone intentionally made this block. Or we want to kind of make it look natural, right? So maybe just a little highlight there, although it's a little problem because if it's yeah, no, we're not gonna put it there. Maybe here, and that might look fine actually. So let me turn on the ghost, and now we can kind of compare it with how these loop. And then here you can see like our top side experiment, which we're gonna fix in a moment. But right now I think this looks pretty decent. Actually, I like it. Now for the top, let's see what we can do for this. So I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of most of the stuff. Basically, we're just keeping the details on the edge. And then let's start again with the darkest shade. And actually it doesn't really matter if some of these lines are like a little bit longer than in the final product, but because we're gonna cover them with other colors. But if we make them like straight and too long, it's gonna become like a little bit complicated to cover them up later. So let's keep that in mind. Also, these three look really similar. I don't like that. So what can we do with them? Maybe we can extend this one a little bit. And let's get rid of this one. And also maybe we can make the tail go in this direction. So we have like a, yeah, I don't really know what to call these shapes, but they are something. Now we're just gonna try to kind of connect them. all together. And these were like we were leaving some gaps, right? So let's try to kind of keep the same idea that we had before. So like that. Okay. Now on to the other side. Let's see where can we add some more of these lines. Something like this maybe. And also let's make some of them a little bit thicker, just so we kind of keep the same idea that we had before. And also let's try to kind of connect them together with these side dots, or like the stuff that we see across the edge, because it's basically the same voxel on this side and on the other side. We're just seeing different faces of the same voxel, right? Maybe something like that. Let's see. And again, we can like make these rocks larger, and we don't need to like care so much about the details, but since the sides are like pretty tiny, I think it would look weird if we like made a lot larger rocks for the top or a lot smaller blocks for the sides, I guess. So just something like this. And now I guess we can add a little bit more of this like thicker lines that we have mentioned before. So let's see where we can do that. So now we kind of have a little bit of idea where our stones are. And I guess we can like extend some of these lines to kind of make it, or to kind of make those silhouettes a little bit more apparent, or like they stand out a little bit more. Also on the top side, it's like we're kind of missing some details maybe. So let's see. What else can we add? Or, well, what else? We can add some more gray lines. That's what we can add. There's not really much else we can do. So I guess we can connect that, but or not. Okay, so I guess this is pretty fine for what we were going for. And now we're just doing this anti-aliasing thingy. And here we actually, because it's a top side and of course it's gonna be mirrored over to the bottom side, we're just gonna throw the like the highlights and the shades a bit more randomly, because here we don't have like a specific direction where the light is hitting the stones or something like that. So because of that, we can like be a little bit more free with the uses of our colors. And also what we're trying to do is not make like these rocks like perfect squares, like maybe adding it here, because well, that just doesn't look natural, right? So maybe something like this would look a lot better, especially when we glance at stuff. We can kind of notice if it's like too perfect. So let's try to add some divide between these blocks, or blocks, like stones, something like that. Let's see what to do here. Maybe a little cross, little line, a little L. So we're just kind of figuring out shapes to kind of fill in the rest of this side. So maybe let's color that in. Guess we can go with something like that. Okay. Just a little bit more. And then we can move on to the highlights, and then hopefully we will soon be done with this block. So we're just kind of trying to make some noise or some random patterns so our brain doesn't get hung up on them when it looks at it, or like sees like different cracks and stuff. Not like here's this specific shape and there's that one, and so on. So let's see. So here we can see like on this side we don't really have many grays. Well, I would kind of have to figure out like different names for these grays, because all of them are grays, but we don't have like this brightest shade of gray yet. So yeah, maybe here on the side as well. Something like that. Maybe this can extend a little bit inwards, and then here can do something like that. And if we're mirroring that, it's gonna look a little bit weird, so I guess we can leave that out. So there's that, and then we can try to check it out again, kind of what it looks like. So not too terrible. And now the finishing touch with the highlights. So we're just kind of randomly throwing them here and there, because especially here they don't really have like a special rule where they should be placed or something like that. So I'm kind of looking for these stray voxels that are kind of sticking out, and these are like pretty good candidates for the highlight color, because it kind of makes the rest a little bit more square, even though, or rectangular, even though I mentioned it before that we're kind of not going for that, but in this case I think it's not that big of a problem. And also we should try to like add them from different sides, just so it doesn't look like, I mean, if we were to add them like all of them here, now this just kind of suggests that there's a light coming from the top part of the screen or something like that. So let's just add a couple more dots here and there. Now we might actually end up with too many, but that can also happen, you know. So here we have like 3 of them that have none. That might be a little problem, but we'll see. So this looks kind of decent, right? Let me just check it in its full glory. Maybe we could add a couple here and there. So I think we are looking at this corner, maybe something like that. And then if we check it out, maybe another one here as well. Cool. So I think this looks like a pretty good stone block, right? Well, hopefully it does. We're gonna export it into the game maker and we'll check it out there as well. So we kind of see what it's actually gonna look like in game, because often stuff doesn't look the same in the Vox edit and the game maker, especially emissive stuff. We are luckily not using any emissive colors for this asset, but if you are, I would definitely suggest you check that in the game maker as well, because the final result might look a little bit different than what you're expecting. So let's start that up. Okay. A little bit more waiting. Okay, here we are. And a little bit more waiting. Okay, it's gonna load soon, right? Okay. And now, oh, we didn't save before. Okay, okay, I guess here's our comparison of the dirt block with the Sandbox defaults. And then let's go to the library and type in stone. And here is our stone block. Let's not replace the default one. And okay, so we have stone gray. So that's mostly it, right? The others are more like bricks. So let me kind of put these two side by side, just so you can kind of see what we have gotten. Okay. So here it's kind of apparent that we aren't yeah, you can see like a little grid going on. Let me save. Yeah. So if we go on to here, you can kind of see that we aren't really connecting through the sides, and that we kind of have like this little grid going on. But actually we can also try placing them on top of one another, so we can also see how that loops. So let's go ahead and check the sides. So on the side it looks better, but sometimes yeah, I don't think it's really problematic. Like there's some part that's kind of like gappy-ish, but yeah, whatever. So let's go back to the Vox edit, and I think let's see. So we kind of wanna connect this side across, so this already matches. Wait, where were we getting those weird? Wait a second. So here these shapes aren't finished, but let me just check for all of them. So maybe we can do something like this. This one looks kind of fine. This one also. Maybe on this side, right? So also, what are we mirroring across? Okay, across the y-axis. That's good. I think we might have some issues on these two sides, right? So let's see, these two are connected, but we need to kind of weave them in together into the whole texture. And then we have something similar going on here, so maybe we can add another one here, something like that. Then this goes across, so that's good. And then here also we can do maybe something like that. And then on the other side, something like this. Hopefully this will help. So yeah, I guess we can go ahead and try to retest it. So let's export it to the marketplace again. And also I think it doesn't update the block texture unless we actually close the entire game maker. So I'm gonna do that real quickly while I'm uploading. Oh, come on, I have misclicked. While I try to replace the asset that we already have on the marketplace with this one. So just a moment or two. Replace asset, okay. I didn't misclick this time, that's good. Okay, so there's that, and yeah, I guess we can try to relaunch it, but I doubt it's gonna update. So if it doesn't, we're gonna have to close the whole program and restart the game maker in that case. So as you can see, it didn't update. So let's go out, let's quit the game. Okay, now experiencing some lags. Okay, so now we have closed that, so let's reopen the game maker. And I guess once we're satisfied with the block, I'm just gonna start like a little idea that I have for some other asset, but we'll see if I'm gonna finish that one on stream. Well, I'm definitely not gonna finish it today because it's gonna be pretty large, but we'll see if we keep it for the stream or if I do it offline. And hi there, Abar. Doing quite fine actually. It's a little bit hot here in Slovenia, so yeah, a little bit sweaty also, but hopefully not for too long. And also I hope you're doing well, at least as well as I am, if not better. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so here we have like some weird stuff going on. Let me just kind of split it. Okay, so you can kind of see that these blocks on the, well, when these are, so we have like larger stones on the sides. Awesome. Malaysia. What time is it there? So like it's 6:30 p.m. my local time. That's basically on the other side of the world, right? So I think we need to make these stones a little bit smaller. So let me go ahead here, and I guess we need to just kind of break them apart. Something like that. 12:30. Okay, so you're like 6 hours behind us. Interesting. That's what I love about the internet. Wait, 12. Yeah, I always have trouble. So that's in the morning, right? 12:30 a.m. I always have trouble with 12 o'clock, whether the a.m. or the p.m. is like 12 o'clock a.m. That's like the midnight, right? At least I think so. We had some issues on Zoom when I was when we had lectures at the university. Okay, yeah. Thanks for clearing that up. we are also working with the 24-hour system, so that makes it a lot clearer. Okay, nice. Awesome that you found the time to tune into this stream. I appreciate it. So basically, as you can see here, we have like these pretty small blocks, and then on the edge we have like a bit larger ones, and then this kind of creates that weird shape that we were seeing. So I guess we're just gonna have to go ahead and break some of this apart. So something like that. So they're a little bit more bite-sized, I guess. Maybe we can connect this as well. I mean, why not? So here we have like some smaller pieces. I'm kind of hoping that this would look better now. I mean, it kind of sucks if we get that weird pattern when we put them all together. That's definitely not something that you'd want, because it kind of breaks the whole thing when you use them like for larger areas and stuff. You can just see the pattern. So I guess this is gonna be the third time that we try to upload it, and hopefully this time it works like a charm. So I guess we need to quit that. Let me replace the asset. Okay. So the whole thing can work a little bit faster if I have two monitors. Well, if I do have them, luckily, because otherwise it would be... Yeah, no problem. You can stay as long as you want. I mean, we're gonna probably go for like 20 more minutes and then we're gonna wrap it up for today. But so let's see. Let's start up the game maker again, and let's kind of keep our fingers crossed that it's gonna work this time as it's supposed to. Okay, let's log in. Okay, here's our game loading up. And like when I mentioned, the t-shirt is like glued to my back because it's like so hot. And I also use this like little carpet thingy, well, like a little blanket, because yeah, I don't... I kind of... Do we have these large shapes still? I'm kind of baffled right now. Let me try to figure out this shape in the... I mean, I can't see it anywhere here. So that's weird. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that's gonna be updated soon, because I think it still kind of looks like the first version to me. Let's see if there's some other stone block we could use. I don't know. Nope, still there. That sucks. I guess we can save this, but we'll see. I guess I'll try to figure this out after the stream. But now I guess we can just start to make some rough sketch for one of the assets that I'm making for the creator fund. So this one is gonna go into the animator folder, basically. So And what it's gonna be is like, actually I'm not really decided yet, but kind of the idea would be, let me try to figure out what I should type in the Google to find this. So we'll see if we get anything from here. Okay, yeah. So let me open this in a new tab. So basically something like a robot factory. We aren't gonna go for like multiple of these, but maybe just like one segment, and then people can put them like one next to the other or something like that. So today we're gonna just kind of try to figure out the size and where like these support beams should be placed, and then maybe on some other stream we can actually try to model the max and something like that. So yeah, let's go to the projects, and what should we call this one? I don't know, Mac assembly line, Mac assembly maybe just. And I'm also kind of tinkering with the idea of like making some animation that would kind of put all the pieces together, but I'm not entirely sure how that would work. Yeah, that's why we're kind of trying to figure out what to do here. So basically the outline is gonna be the support beams. So maybe we should start with that. So let's new VXM, and then this is gonna be called, I guess, pillar. Let's call it pillar 0 because I'm just not sure if we are gonna need some other pillars later on, and maybe it's nice if we already have the names pillared out, figured out. So let's go to the palette, the extended one. So that's good. And then let's see. One option would be to kind of model it out, but I think it would kind of look a little bit better if we made it from like different nodes. But then again, this isn't really gonna be a pillar, it's more gonna be like a pillar base. And in that case, I think it's gonna be like a pretty hefty pillar. And I can also see it's like sun is getting lower here, so it's kind of shining into my room because it's oriented towards the west. So okay, so I guess we can try to make the base like 2x2 blocks, and then make it 1 block high. And then for the base color, I think the assembly lines kind of look, I mean, it would kind of look nice if it was some kind of orange. Maybe we can go with this one because we have like 5 shades of orange, and this one is kind of like from yellow to red. So maybe this one would be a little bit better. And I just love the way that I can use keyboard shortcuts here, because in the block editor you actually, well, unless there are some other hidden shortcuts, yeah, I can't figure it out. So that's gonna be actually our pillar base, so let's rename that. And maybe we can name it pillar base 2x2 just so, oh come on, just so it kind of makes a little bit sense. So let's start building our node hierarchy. So this one can be called controller because it's gonna be like our root node, and later on we're gonna move it if we wanna like center our object. And then let's create another child node, which is gonna be pillar 0 base. So we can now start moving these around a little bit. So maybe this is a little bit large. Okay, just due to proportions, maybe make this 48 by 48, just so our pillars don't take like most of the volume. Okay, so now it's centered as well. And now let's try to position it into some corner. So this one is like 3.5 blocks, and now here as well, so 88 and minus 88. Okay, and we could make the bases for all four, but in my opinion it doesn't make sense, because we can just duplicate this and then move it around once we figure out like a pillar size and shape that we are satisfied with. So actually let's go and name this like, I don't know, pillar, just pillar, I guess. And this one is gonna be like a support, vertical support beam. So this is gonna be like a lot narrower, and of course also a lot taller. So let's make it 8 by 8, and maybe, so 128 is like 4 blocks. Yeah, we're gonna have to go to 256. And we can always make it a little bit shorter if we need that to happen. And now let's also recenter the pivot point to 4 and 4. Okay. So now this is centered, and we can attach it to our pillar base. So let's create another child node. And now this is gonna get a little bit hectic. This is gonna be P0, 0, and we're gonna make basically 4 of these in different corners. So 32, and then maybe let's move it by 18 into that direction, and by 18 into this one as well. Okay, so it's getting quite big already. And now we can just duplicate this and name it P01, and we need to move it into all of these corners. So now it's gonna have 18, and duplicate P02, and now it's gonna go into plus 18 on the other axis as well. And now let's duplicate it into P03 and move it over to this side. Cool. So we got that, and now we need to kind of make that zigzaggy support thingy, like connecting these vertical pillars. And also we can kind of make the top from the same block as this one. So maybe we can do that right now. So let's duplicate node, pillar 0 top. Oh, whoops. So I guess I don't need these nodes anymore, right? Let's get rid of those. And also I think I have duplicated a bit prematurely, because yeah, you're gonna see soon why. Let's see. So how much do... Okay, so this is at the top. And now the support beams are gonna be shorter, so this is gonna be, I don't know, pillar short. And this is gonna be, I don't know, either 16 or 32. And I think if we made it 16, it would just take too many of them to make. So let's try with the 62, 32, my bad. And now let's create a child node. So this is gonna be P0, 0, 0. Oh my god, so much nesting. Okay. And this one actually might be too short still. Let me just try to... Yep, okay. So this short pillar should be at least, I guess, 48 or even 64. Let's try with 48 and we'll see where this gets us. Okay, so here is our pillar, short. Let's see how much. Yeah, still too much. I guess we can make it 2 blocks long, and since it's gonna be diagonal, it's not gonna take that much space. So let's do that. And okay, and let's try to rotate it now to kind of see where we get. So okay, so this looks pretty fine, and I think we can do a little trick so we don't use as many, would be to just leave like some gap in between. So maybe we can move it on to 16, I guess, and then we can just rotate this to the angle that we want. And also also I'm trying to figure out if, well, I definitely don't want to make it like a cross shape, because we're gonna use like a bunch of nodes, and that's not something that we want. But now we can kind of, I'm trying to figure out the best way to kind of make it look the way I want it to. So I guess we can kind of reset this rotation and duplicate it. So this is gonna be P001. Okay, basically we're making a James Bond here. And then we move this, I don't know, to 48 maybe. And we won't be able to see exactly how this looks before we duplicate this pillar. So let's move this here as well. Yeah, and so if this started, it should start somewhere around here. So let me try to kind of figure out the height that we want to go for. I guess we can move it over here and just upwards. So if we went to, I don't know, 72, is that somehow related? So this one is at 16. I don't know, 80. 72. I don't know. So how much is 72 minus 16? So that's like minus 6 is, wait a sec, which number do we have? Okay, 72, so it's 66 and then 56 voxels extra. Sure, why not? I guess we can try to rotate it now just to kind of see what we would get. And actually we could move it upwards still, so maybe we can go to 80, and then this makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so this would look kind of fine if we continue this pattern all the way upwards. Now let me just move all of these to the appropriate pillar, and then let's rotate it here. Actually, let me duplicate it before that. So P002, we grab that one, and from 16, so for another 64, so that's 144, is that correct? Let's see, 144. And then we'll see what we want to do with the last one. So let me just rotate this to the left, then rotate this to the right, and then we're kind of so we can definitely squeeze one more here, but another thing that, well, the height is kind of like well, let me just duplicate this and we'll squeeze the last one somehow inside, so 003. And in this case, if we move this by another 64, that would go to 208, I think. So somewhere here. Okay, and then let's angle it this way, and then let's find the other one and angle it the other way, like so. So now that we have this, we can actually go ahead and delete the other pillars. So let me delete those. So we're kind of left with only one branch, and then we're gonna duplicate this whole thing into P01. And then once we rotate it and move it, everything should come together nicely. So let's see. Move this to 18. Is it at 18? It's probably not. Let me check on the inspector. So 18. Okay. Let me minimize that, and then let's duplicate this node again to P02. And it might be, okay, it's not working because it's rotated, but we can do it here in the inspector. So let's move it to 18, then let's rotate it around again, this way, right? Okay, it's kind of difficult to figure it out also because you can kind of see stuff from behind, but if I angle it kind of this way, you can kind of see what the final result is gonna look like. So let me duplicate this again into P03, and let's move it to, so over X to -18, and then on Y, I don't know, 90 rotation. Okay, perfect. So now we have our pillar that's gonna be like a base for it. And then I guess we can duplicate this now and move it into all four corners where we want it. And I think after that we're gonna finish the stream for today, because we have been going for 2 hours, and I'm getting a little tired, to be honest, of streaming, of course. Not. I love all of you guys who are still watching. So let's duplicate this node, and I guess it's gonna be pillar 1 base. Now let's move this to -88, just so we have kind of everything symmetric. And here we're gonna kind of also get the rough idea of whether these pillars are too high or like too tall or too whatever. We'll see. Let's duplicate again. And this name is a little bit long, but yeah, we might end up with like lots of nodes, and in that case it's good that it kind of has a unique name. So name this pillar 3 base. And it also helps a lot that we don't have to, so there was like some time where it was a requirement that, well, it's still a requirement that every node has a unique name. But before that, when we were duplicating, we didn't get these brackets or like parentheses. And it was like a real pain in the ass to rename every single node differently. And here I have also realized that this top part is actually not part of our asset. So, well, of our, it's not nested actually. So let me fix that real quick. And also let's add it to the others. So duplicate node P1 top. Now I'm getting a little lazy with the naming, but you still get the idea. And it's probably gonna stay unique name or not, we'll see. So let's duplicate again, P2 top. And then the last one is gonna be P3 top. Cool. and let's not forget to save. And yeah, now we get like a rough idea. So let me just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is currently 7 by 7 blocks. We might need to make it a little bit bigger or not, depending on the size of the mech that we're gonna put in. But I think these pillars look quite beautiful for the time that we have spent making them. So let me just save again. And that's gonna be it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for staying till the end, and hopefully we see each other next time. So until then, bye bye.